Alright, welcome back to the Sequel-Thon, where we are looking at Guess Who from 2005, starring Bernie Mac and Ashton Kutcher. And on the surface, you could look at this movie and say, oh, this is just a Meet the Parents ripoff, right? Only it's a white guy meeting a black family, so that's the hook, right? And I'm sure that a lot of people, when this came out in 2005, were like, hey, that's exactly what it is. And after watching it, I could say I think that's what they were going for. However, some of you might not know that this is actually a remake of the 1967 film Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, starring Sidney Poitier, where it was a African-American man, or black man, going to meet his white fiance's parents, her girlfriend's parents. And that's what it was. But even back in 2005, remaking that probably would be not very political correct. So to reverse it is probably a little more, appropriate. However, there are some things in this movie that have not aged in the 19 years, in the 19 years since this came out. There's a lot of stuff that you wouldn't, I don't know. So Ashton Kutcher plays Simon, who is off to meet his African-American girlfriend's parents. We find out that they're actually engaged and they're going to announce the engagement. Why they wouldn't do the engagement, I don't know. Again, that's very Meet the Parents, right? Because wasn't it like he was going to propose to her, or he wasn't it the old plot of Meet the Parents? He was going so we can get Frank's permission to ask her to marry him, to ask him to marry her. To ask her to marry him. Yeah, I was right the first time. Yeah. Well, now they're already engaged and they're going to meet. And there's certain things like, oh, they don't know that he's white because she never told him that. And they even admitted in on the first scene, she's like, no, I didn't say that. Well, you didn't tell him I was white? No. You tell them I might know. No, it's fine. They won't care. My experience with movies like this, they will always care. Right? Especially when it's Bernie Mac. What you talking about, he white? Huh? What you talking about? My Bernie Mac president. But yeah, just my eyes watering, excuse me. But yeah, just, and also, well, unlike Meet the Parents, Simon is not really the main character. We follow him a little bit at the beginning, but most of the scenes are, we do follow him. It seems like we follow Bernie Mac more, as Percy, than we do Simon. And unfortunately, this movie gets bogged down. I thought it was bogged down. I got itch. Sorry. Bogged down by trying to be a copy of Meet the Parents. Down to the whole, the wives are mad at the husbands thing. It's not as much with Jack in that one, but the whole, it's just one of those, look, I'm a fan of watching, I don't mind watching the odd romantic comedy, but it seems like every romantic comedy has the same beats. Or they're okay at the beginning of the movie or something, or they meet or whatever, and every time it gets towards the end of the film, they gotta split up so they can get back together. Every damn romantic comedy has to have, they split up in the third act and they get back together at the end of the movie. It's like, why can't they just, I don't know, whether they were already together at the beginning or just met. By the end of the movie, they split up and get back together again. That's usually the format for romantic comedies. And it's the same kind of format here, as there's a moment towards the end of the film where both Zoe Saldana, yeah, she's in this before she was Zoe Saldana, and the mom character, they break up with, she's like, oh, because the whole thing is that she's bringing Ashton Kutcher Simon there because to introduce him, and also it's her parents' 25-year wedding anniversary. So that keep in mind that neither of the women of the daughters are under 25, which means it's out of wedlock, but it doesn't matter. I mean, she had to have been 30 here, right? She's in her 40s now. Oh, that was almost not 20 years, 19 years. Well, maybe not. Maybe she was in her 20s. I don't know, but probably. Anyway, and so the mom calls it off, and then she breaks the Zoe Saldana. I forget her name. Teresa breaks up with Simon, and then it all comes down to this big. Okay, this is it, right? They're both, after a night of drinking and getting to know each other, they're both going to stand up and get their wives back. And this should be the moment where they get everything back. But they don't, because because there's a running joke that Percy likes to plagiarize stuff, he takes the speech that Simon was going to do, resulting in Simon falling flat on his face. Yeah. So he decides he's going to leave. And it takes Percy realizing some stuff is going on for him to realize that maybe, he was wrong. Of course he was wrong. The thing about Percy, from Percy's side of things here, right? What if this was him, right? What if it was the shoe was on the other foot, and it was an African American man, meaning his white girlfriend's family? He would be very furious if they were extremely behaving to him the way that he's behaving towards Simon, right? Thinking it downright racist. But for some reason, it's okay for him to judge. I'm going to call him Michael. This is not that 70s show. To judge Simon for the color of his skin. And be alright with it and be like, no, I know what I'm talking about. So what happens is it all boils down because it's revealed. Because Percy has his assistant Reggie, who was on Moesha. I know him from Moesha. He was one of Moesha's later boyfriends, I think. But anyway, yes, I watched BET. Shut up. I was at UPN, so yeah, I watched UPN growing up. That was one of my channels before the WB or CW as it is now. UPN, come on, that good cartoons on there too. So I found Dragon Ball Z or Dragon Ball, and Mighty Max. Extreme Dinosaurs, Street Sharks, all that stuff was on there. Even Extreme Ghostbusters was on UPN at one point. And then they started airing other ones with UPN, kind of went down. But anyway, back to what I was saying. So, he has Reggie do some digging and finds out that he's not employed. But, the first thing is that, he works for this place. That's cool. And then he's like, I also used to be on a pit crew for Jeff Gordon. And Jeff Gordon happens to be Bernie Mac's favorite race car driver. Look, he makes a point saying that no black people should like NASCAR, and I don't know, it's a thing. I don't. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. I don't know, but maybe that's just an assumption. Maybe it's an assumption that black people don't like NASCAR. Maybe they do. It's cool, but I know for damn sure ain't nobody like Jeff Gordon. I had a friend who did. He's the only one I ever knew that liked him. Everybody else hated him. I hated him. So, I don't know. Couldn't think of anyone else. Dale Earnhardt Jr. by this point, I think. Junior? Come on. Gotta be Jeff Gordon. He's the most popular one, right? Right. Are there any African American race car drivers? Sure there are. Women. Different, I guess. But anyway. So, He finds it out. It all comes boiling down, and then the both women had enough of their people. So he comes back and he steals the guy's. He steals Simon's what he was going to say, and so Simon falls flat in his face. And then in a conversation with Teresa, because he quit his job. We see at the beginning he quits his job. I went back and I watched that scene, and I guess knowing how everything turns around, everything goes down. Is what I meant to say. I can't speak English today. Everything goes down, and rewatching that scene, I get it. Turns out his boss is a big fat racist, and warned him against marrying Teresa because of the color of her skin. And so he quit his job because he couldn't work with someone like that. That was the whole situation. By the way, he never once says this to anyone in the film. When there were a few points he could have said it, like when they were flipping out on him. He could have said, hey, I had to quit my job because he was a racist. Or, when he had to deliver a speech, why not say, look, I know I messed up, but I quit my job because my boss is a racist. He tried to tell me not to marry you. And so I quit because of it. He never says it. Even when he comes back, they try to play this little thing, You'll Never Find. That song. Well, Percy sings it to his wife, and, and then he comes in and he sings it, and that's it. Him singing the song and a little talking to her, like, I'm sorry I lied to you, and then she apologizes, and everything's fine. That's not a resolution. Like, the truth never came. Like, Percy knows the truth because he figured it out. But why does he never tell her the truth of why he quit, his job? We could have one more scene of that. No, the credits are dedicated to showing deleted scenes for all I can tell. It looks like scenes that were supposed to be at the end, and they said, no, we can end it this way. And so then they just added it in as a wedding video they're watching, or whatever video they're watching. It's a wedding video, a vows renewal video, with them talking over it. It feels like deleted scenes that they couldn't figure out how to fit into the film and end it right, so yeah. But the fact that it's never admitted on screen that's why he quit his job, like, he never really admits it, like, he never says out loud that that's the reason why. He never tells Teresa that. It's just something that Percy, comes on to, realizes what happened. And even, it's never really said out loud. Like, we don't have a scene at the beginning with the boss saying anything to him about it. In fact, it always frustrates me when we have, an opening scene with characters that aren't really introduced. Like, we were set up with Percy, and then we follow Simon, and he's walking he's on the phone talking to Teresa, and he's in the office, and he quits. And we're like in the middle of the conversation. There's no introduction to the boss, nothing. This feels like a second film in a franchise, in a trilogy about people being racist about people, right? But you can't do that movie about the white racist boss being, because that movie would end with him quitting, and then we do this movie where now you have to meet the parents of the African American woman, who's also sort of, kind of, I would say bigoted. Bigoted is a different. It means the same thing, but not. He's not really racist. He just sort of judges him because of his white. And again, would Percy want, if the shoe was on the other foot here? Would Percy want to do that? Probably want that to happen to him. I mean, probably not. But no, they even do the, again, talk about copying. Meet the parents. They're not allowed to sleep in the same room together, although they go a little bit further, and he's wearing her lingerie. I don't know why. He's got other clothes on, but still. And the only thing is, they go further too about, like, oh, you're going to sleep in the basement. Because they try to, apparently he, reserved a hotel room for him. but because they weren't there at the checkout time, is that legal? You reserved a hotel room. You're running late. They give your room away. Is that legal to do that? If you reserved it, you already paid for that room, right? That's what I'm getting. You reserved something, right? Maybe restaurants aren't like that, but like for hotel rooms, you have to put a down payment, right? When you reserve a hotel room, you have to put a down payment. You pay for that, right? Is that how it works? I don't know. Maybe it does. I don't know. But if that's how it works, where's your money then? If Percy made a prepayment, a down payment for renting that room, where's his money back, right? Again, I'm not assuming that's how it works, but in my eyes, maybe they should start doing that so that they can't do that. Say, hey, if you want to reserve a room, put a down payment of $50 down on the room. That way, it's set. Your money is there. You know? And they'd probably try to work around to like, oh, if we end up having to give a room away, we'll give you your $50 back. But no, that $50 should say, no, you can't give it away because I've reserved it. And if something is reserved, then it's reserved. Whether they're running late or not, it's reserved. You get me saying, oh, it's supposed to be here by 4, it's checkout time. Oh, guess we got to give it to someone else. What if they're only 2 minutes late? You walk in 2 minutes late, oh, I'm here. Oh, I'm sorry, we gave your room away. You were here right at 4, so. What? I reserved it. Oh, but you weren't here right at 4, so we got to give it away. What? I don't know. It seems stupid. I mean, this is 2005, so maybe now things have changed, and that is how it is. You put a down payment, and you keep your room, you know? I'm just saying. But yeah, so because there's no room, he has to go back to the house, and so he has them sleeping in the basement. Just like in Meet the Parents. Only, there's other cringy stuff in this, but it's not like in that one, there's not a cat that flushes the toilet or him climbing on the roof or anything stupid like that. It's just, there's a sister, but she's not as annoying as the guy from Scary Movie. Meaning, ain't no mean dog, But it does, even though it's a remake of a film from the 60s, I do feel like they took that, hey, why don't we try to remake it, only this time we'll do it's a white guy, meaning his black girlfriend's parents. Oh, and we can capitalize on it, popularity of Meet the Parents, because by this point, Meet the Fockers was already out, right? And movies like that, trying to get into, it really has that Meet the Parents kind of feel to it. Also, there's a running joke with Robert Curtis Brown's character where Bernie Mac thinks he's gay, right? Because he's a tailor or something. At the end, he's like, "Oh, meet my wife," and I'm looking at this wife, and I'm thinking, I'm not trying to judge, but is this supposed to be like someone who's had surgery to be another gender? It was a former? Is that the joke? It was a trans person. Is that what they wouldn't have that joke nowadays? People wouldn't be like, oh, boo. But is that what? Because she had kind of a deep voice, and I'm not trying to judge, but it just, again, I'm sorry if I sound like Bernie Mac. I don't know why. What you talking about? Sound like me? You guys have nothing like me, man. Well, I'm sorry. It's all right. Continue. But I say continue, man. What you talking about? Oh, anyway, so I'm arguing with myself as Bernie Mac. Windy outside today, huh? You hear that? Anyway, just to wrap this up, I've never seen the original, so I can't say, but it to me, it feels like someone saw, oh, we can remake Who's Coming to Dinner, or Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, and call it Guess Who, right? Reverse the races, and make it like they capitalized on the popularity of Meet the Parents, which was popular at the time, ish, I guess. But like, it's in that time frame. So, yeah, that's what it feels like. I'm gonna give it a middle of the road. Um, uh, I think it's well done. Who directed it anyway? I didn't look. Kevin Rodney Sullivan. No idea. But yeah, the acting performances are good. Like Bernie Mac and Ashton Kutcher, they have great chemistry. It's just foils for each other. It's always all done for like she's not prominent. She's around, but she's basically just side character. Same thing with the mother-in-law, which is like they have their you know they have their parts in this movie, and two are the leads. You know, I'm just saying. So yeah, it's the middle of the road for me. So what are your thoughts on Cast 2? Let me comment below. Much like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching. I'm Scotty, and I'll see you in the next one.